What's going on, guys? It's Frito here for your Overwatch. Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for, the big blog post on Competitive 2.0. Here they explain they want each season to be exciting and tell their own individual stories, with a new journey, new heroes, maps, modes, or balance changes. Perhaps as well, further changes to the competitive system. In today's video, we'll read the blog post detailing the changes to Season 1. Yep, we're starting all over. How to unlock it, the skill tier divisions, the new placement systems, and more right after this quick message. Today's video sponsor is Manscaped. With Overwatch 2 Ranked coming out, you need to protect yourself against the gross affliction known as gamer groin. The Perfect Package 4.0 will fix you right up. Nobody likes a man bush with power creep. Cut that thing down to size with the Lawnmower 4.0. It is waterproof, cordless, with a built-in light in it, so it's perfect for using in the shower. And the skin safe technology makes it super easy to balance your man region without any unintended nerfs. Hair down there builds up unnecessary sweat and bacteria. So guys, join us in the 21st century and begin manscaping today. But to properly fight against gamer groin, you also need a combination of offense and defense. Prop preserver you use after you shower. The soothing aloe vera helps maintain freshness. And I tend to find the confidence booster helps me perform better both in-game and out. The crop reviver is your cleanse ability. Get hit with a gross debuff, few spritzes of this sets you back to full HP. Look good, smell good, play gooder. And now for a limited time, the Perfect Package comes with 2 free gifts. Shed travel bag to carry everything with. I take this everywhere I go. And Manscaped's superb anti-chafing boxer briefs. Get it all with the Perfect Package at manscaped.com using our promo code Overwatch and get 20% off your entire order, free international shipping, and 2 free gifts. That's manscaped.com. Use promo code Overwatch to get 20% off your entire order, free international shipping, and 2 free gifts. The blog post goes to explain that they believe losing games shouldn't feel like a purely negative experience. Competitive players should feel a sense of progression after games, and we want to provide players with the tools needed to improve and rank up. Finally, we need an improved competitive experience for returning players for the benefit of both them and their teammates. The first section is how to unlock competitive. Overwatch 2 will not have portrait levels, and match experience will go towards leveling up your battle pass. New players who create an Overwatch 2 account on or after October 4th will play through a guided first-time user experience. They will need to complete the first-time user experience and win 50 quick play matches before competitive unlocks, which I think is quite a high bar. Like, a match is 10 minutes in quick play, and how many do you have to lose until you win 50? Let's say you win 50%, which maybe as a new player you don't even do that. That could be like 100 games or more. So they're really cracking down on new accounts and at least forcing them to like play and learn the game a bit more before they just jump right into ranked. The blog post goes on to say, this gives new players time to prepare for the higher expectations that come with competitive, while veteran players don't feel discouraged by teammates who have less experience. In the process of unlocking competitive, we analyze new player skill levels to optimize matchmaking in a way that feels good to everyone. This only affects accounts made on or after the October 4th release date. Anyone who has competitive unlocked prior will have access to competitive in Overwatch 2. So I never got a firm answer on whether MMR from quick play prior to unlocking competitive was a thing in Overwatch 1 or not, but it sounds like that is what they're doing in Overwatch 2. So in those first 50 wins, it's going to be sort of pre-placing you for competitive if you ever even choose to use it. Next up is skill tier divisions. SR is being replaced by skill tier divisions in Overwatch 2. We made the decision to remove SR as a numeric value to relieve the sense of being stuck at a certain rank. You still will be, but you'll be fooled into thinking you're not. I guess you won't get a sense of the specificity of where you are. They go on to say, seeing your SR go up and down after a match almost felt like taking a test with the teacher passing or failing you based on each individual question rather than your complete work. It was a lot of pressure, and it doesn't give players an accurate representation of how they're performing overall in competitive. I do think this is true. A single match in Overwatch very easily can go one way or the other, and you still be, let's say, at your correct rank, but if you lose, you go down. So you constantly feel like you're losing something by playing. So although I'm memeing it a little bit, I really like this direction. They say tiers still exist in competitive, bronze through grandmaster, and each tier will have 5 divisions ranking you from 5, the lowest, to 1, the highest. As you progress through each tier, your division will count down until you rank up to the next tier. Top 500 will not have tier divisions. The skill tier divisions represent the same skill levels as SR did in Overwatch 1, but they give players a higher level view of where they're placed in competitive. Higher level meaning zoomed out, where you're not nitpicking over 20 or 30 SR, but instead that general division. To sort of remember that few hundred SR gap between one division and the other is kind of just a good session versus a bad session, but the same player, right? So zooming out away from that helps distance you from the intimacy of those numbers and kind of get over it and just keep playing. The blog post goes on, each division represents approximately 100 SR range. Players will receive a competitive update every 7 wins or 20 losses instead of every single game. That's insane. Whatever it is that's causing you to lose that many games. By that point, then you're almost like expecting the game to please lower my SR, because we all know I'm not hanging there. But remember, of course, it's probably the case that your MMR already fluctuated in order to represent where you should match in the game anyway. Let's all keep in mind that the SR number that's public, or the rank that's public, isn't ever the important thing. That's just the sort of representation of what your progress has been. Like, think of it like this. There's a difference between the score you got on a test and what your IQ score is. Your IQ is kind of fixed, right? But whether you study for the test and do well on the day, or are good at a particular meta, or let's say school subject, whatever, that kind of fluctuates, it goes up and down. Realistically, what they prefer you to do is have 7 wins, and let's say that's over the course of like a 50% win rate, you probably don't get adjusted. It goes on to say competitive updates will show your progress and adjust your division if necessary. So think of it like this. Rather than getting a SR number going down or up each game, loss or win, you play the game, it ends, you say, oh, that's great, let's go play another one, and you only really find out how well you've been doing after 7 wins or 20 losses, which still, again, seems like an outrageous number. But maybe some of you have had like a job where you might have like regular progress reports. It's kind of like that. As opposed to being assessed every day on the job, after a certain amount of time, they check in and say, well, have you been showing up on time for work? Have you been healing your teammates, Moira? Oh no, let's look at your stats. The blog post goes on, looking at the past 7 or 20 games as a collective helps you better understand how you were performing in competitive rather than putting a ton of pressure on each individual game. We want you to feel like you're improving and being rewarded for advancing from the first day you start playing competitive in Overwatch 2. My only problem with this language is sometimes you're not improving and you're actually just throwing, which maybe then you need to address that as well. Next up is match-focused UI. We're making some changes to the competitive UI based on feedback that we've seen in the community. Portrait borders that symbolize player level are going away from all game modes in Overwatch 2, and competitive skill tiers will no longer be displayed before each competitive match. Skill tier and division aren't completely aligned with the matchmaking rating we use to determine matches. That, of course, was always the case, but even more so in Overwatch 2. This is important to remember. We'll explain that more in a second. It goes on. To this end, this screen has been redesigned so you can instead display your name cards and titles. The introduction of the new scoreboard will help you identify your team's needs and adjust your strategy accordingly. This is cool. So they're saying basically rather than looking at your teammates' ranks, actually look at the stats of what's going on. They say, we're removing medals from the scoreboard because they were too arbitrary to paint an accurate picture of a player's contributions to their team. You don't say. Our goal with this new scoreboard is to communicate information about how the match is progressing in a more open and transparent way. I love the scoreboard so much, and trust me, getting in custom lobbies from the beta and stuff with high-level players, it's so easy to find where I stand out as a player among higher skill players than myself. While maybe I can compete with gaining some stats, I always gain the most deaths, which is to say, when you're not used to respecting the positioning and the aim of a higher level player, you put yourself in positions where you're easily eliminated. That's my weakness as a player. I go for goofy nonsense plays that look funny in videos, but aren't the most practical in a competitive setting. So I'm sure the more advanced stat system is going to teach me that about my gameplay. A lot of players maybe aren't aggressive enough or try to hide in the match a little bit, which also can be a problem, especially in an aggressive game like Overwatch 2. They say, finally, the new ping system gives you a new tool to communicate with your team. It's no surprise that teams with better synergy win games. You can use the ping system to better coordinate with your team without having to speak. And the system is also an effective way to enhance voice callouts with in-game cues. Next section's called Placement Matches and Season 1. Listen up to this one. The placement system from past competitive seasons is changing in Overwatch 2. Instead of playing 5 matches without a rank, you'll be unranked until your first competitive update. After the first 7 wins or 20 losses, you can expect to start in lower skill tier divisions after placement matches and progress the ranks throughout the season. All players that were ranked in competitive prior to Overwatch 2 will have their rank modified post-launch. Overwatch 2 is a very different game, so we applied a formula that gives returning players an opportunity to redefine their rank when they dive into updated competitive. Most players will find their rank is slightly lower when they start out, as they will be learning new concepts and metas. However, players who got to learn more about the game in our betas or who follow the Overwatch League may find themselves ranked higher than ever. Of course, your Overwatch viewers are ahead of the curve. We know how to counter Doomfist, Orisa. We know about the sleeper picks that everyone else thinks are bad but are going to dominate in mid-tiers. We got you covered. But all this is really important, and I want us to sense the gravity of this because there was a lot of confusion about placements and resets. What they're describing here is not only is there sort of a soft reset from Overwatch 1 to 2, because what they do and what's an intelligent thing to do if you study stats at all, which I pretended to know how to do in university a little bit at one point. Let's say they put a correlation of your Overwatch 1 rank to Overwatch 2 at like 0.7 would probably be a generous one, or 0.6 or something. That means you'll get into games like a few ranks apart from where you were. And from that point, you can either thrive by dominating the opposition or struggle and get soft reset down a bit. Because Overwatch 2, I think, is a much more confrontational game rather than counter pick based. Certain types of players will rise and fall, as is being described here. So this soft reset is good, but way better than doing a full reset where you don't take any information and then bronze literally play GM. That won't happen, but instead maybe the bands of what you might expect from a traditional ranked match just are opened up by a rank or two, whereas normally they try to get all the same rank in together more or less. At the start, as we're all trying to jockey for position, there'll be just a bit of wiggle room for you to redefine yourself in Overwatch 2, which I think is cool. Now, if I'm understanding this correctly, there is only one placement ever in Overwatch 2, okay? It says you'll be unranked until your first competitive update after the first 7 wins or 20 losses. And you'll be soft reset in a season. So when a new season starts, you'll be put down a rank, let's say. But the concept of constantly placing each season, I believe, is gone. Instead, it's being replaced by what they're calling the competitive update, which is your 7 wins or 20 losses. So in a different way, you're like constantly placing as opposed to grinding SR up or down plus or minus 30 each match. No, you're instead playing sessions of ranked and then getting a competitive update every 7 wins or 20 losses. Next section is game reports. We'll introduce a new section to the career profile where you can find your replays and highlights, further enabling you to learn and grow from your gameplay experience. We're adding a new feature called Game Reports under the History tab in your career profile. Game Reports provide a detailed summary of all the matches played in your current session of Overwatch. These reports show you an overview of all the matches in your current session broken down by game mode. Opening a match will further expand your stats, including an overview of how you played, which heroes you used, and other information. Clicking on heroes played will expand your stats and other handy information from each match's scoreboard. For example, if you played Ana during a match, your personal stats will show biotic grenade kills, enemies slept, and nano boost assists. Likewise, other heroes will have specific statistics to give you a detailed report of how you performed on any hero. In a future update, we'll have your recently played matches persist across sessions, meaning even if you log off, you can jump back on and review them at a later time. So keep that in mind. They're not going to hold between sessions for now. We'll also introduce a timeline feature to check out key moments from the match and review the final result of the scoreboard. So that's cool. It's getting even more detailed later on. Top 500 leaderboards will largely remain the same, separated by input pool. You still need to complete 25 games for any given role in role queue or 50 games in open queue. The combined role queue leaderboard requires you to complete at least 25 matches. Top 500 leaderboards unlock 2 weeks into the start of each new season, and cross-platform players can view the separate leaderboards by input pool. All right, did you get all that, guys? It's gonna be really important when all of you get into top 500, right? Okay, next one is quite important: skill decay in competitive. Our team has also been considering how to approach players who have not played Overwatch recently. Players who haven't played recently are less likely to maintain their actual skill output in a match. To help account for this and make matches fairer, players who haven't played in a while will find their internal matchmaking rating lowered to help us reevaluate and determine their current skill level. That's important. They're saying internal MMR, not necessarily your public skill tier. We'll also adjust their internal matchmaking rating more quickly up or down as they play matches after returning. Returning players will therefore quickly get back to their appropriate skill tier and division as they continue to play. And keep that straight in your mind. So the MMR will be like soft reset when you take a break to see, hey, can you still hang at the old MMR you were at or not? And as you play, there will be sort of a more rapid reevaluation of your MMR. It will be more fluid after taking a break. And so all of you that say you're stuck in elo hell, well, take a break and then you're going to get some boosts or busts on your rapid MMR. And then as you go through that process and play more, then your skill tier division will catch up, but they're disconnected and it gets confusing, but keep that in mind. Next up is competitive rewards. Competitive seasons will be aligned with our overall seasonal schedule, including the battle pass. We're removing the commemorative sprays and icons players earned each season, including the top 500 sprays and icons. We're introducing new limited competitive titles for your name card that you can earn as you climb the ranks. These titles will be a way to show off to other players how high you climbed in a season. You can only earn these titles at the end of the current competitive season and only use them in the season following. By the way, this is a way that you can show your rank from the previous season if you want to, which I think is kind of cool, but you also could put whatever title you want. You know, mine's probably going to be Junkrat One Trick or something. It goes on. Competitive points will continue to be the reward currency for winning competitive matches, rewarding 10 points for a win and 3 for a draw. Earning 3,000 points allows you to unlock a golden weapon for any of Overwatch's heroes, including new heroes like Sojourn, Junker Queen, and Kiriko. However, we'll be capping the number of bonus competitive points earned at the end of a season to the highest skill tier you reach in any of your roles, including open queue. So you can't stack them together. In closing comments, they say evolving the competitive experience. These changes are the beginning of our new competitive experience in Overwatch, and we'll continue to watch for ways to deliver fair and exciting matches in our core game mode. Upcoming features include a skill progression report each time you get a competitive update. We can't wait for each season to provide a new chapter for everyone looking to grow their skills, and our team looks forward to all the changes coming to competitive in Overwatch 2. So who knows how much more is to come. The thing that's exciting about Overwatch 2 is they're promising that this will be a continuous thing into the future, as opposed to Overwatch 1, where they sort of treated it like, well, you're lucky if we ever update anything. And considering we already know there's things coming down the pipeline, such as characters, but also new modes and maps, other changes to competitive would fit alongside it in the seasonal model. What do you guys think of all the changes? Let me know in the comment section down below. Are you a fan of them sort of obfuscating the granularity of the skill rating system? You no longer see the plus minus 30 points per game and instead sort of zoom out and notice the progression over multiple games? I think that's genius. And in many ways, they're allowing you to get rid of the useless stats like gold medals or the SR number, which is almost inherently inaccurate, and instead focus on things like the in-game scoreboard or, you know, your own personal performance, which matters a heck of a lot more in Overwatch 2. If you liked this video, please be sure to leave it with a like. And if you did, you'll want to subscribe and click the bell icon so that you get notified of our future Overwatch 2 videos. We cover all the news, make guides, breakdowns, meta predictions, all sorts of things that'll help you follow and compete in the game of Overwatch, so you'll want to subscribe to stay up to date with our upcoming content. We've got lots planned. Be sure to check out our sponsor, linked in the description, Manscaped, and use code OVERWATCH at checkout to get 20% off your entire order and free international shipping. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.